I was thinking of like what the pros and cons are to us now doing this
Mm.
virtually is. I think the biggest pro is when we used to record it together, every now and again you would like start stroking my leg
Yeah, yeah.
and I'd have to pretend that yeah, and I'd have to like pretend that you weren't doing it because I was trying to be professional and like
Well,
keeping the podcast going, but
yeah, you
also I
mean your
like
third leg?
you're the only person who called it a third leg. Any woman I've been with, uh, as much
Yeah,
as I tried to get them to call it that,
yeah. I
they were
remember
like
your nickname
unimpressive.
used to be Dillon the Cocktail Sausage.
To all the women, but you always called it the third leg, which I guess would imply that to you it was big.
Well, yeah, it's all about comparison, isn't it?
All
Like I
about
can only
comparison.
deal with what's in front of me, and unfortunately, that's not much. So, yeah,
I heard that, yeah. So that is the pro, but the con is that you doing that actually really made me focus.
yeah, nice stimulation, isn't it? So, if
Yeah.
you like, if you really want to focus on something, you just need to like basically just edge yourself all day.
If you're going to learn anything from today's podcast, I think it's that you need to be focused. So not true. The opposite.
Yeah, bro.
I guess pun unintended here, but different strokes for different folks, maybe.
Mm, yeah.
Starting off utter fucking nonsense immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dillon and Sebastian at the Simpsons podcast. And I'm very happy today, very excited because we're fucking finally on the last episode of season 30,
Yeah, let's
season
go.
36, season 35, season 35.
Yeah.
It's been so long
Yeah.
I actually thought we'd already jumped to the next season. No, it's
We
season
thought we were
35
going to catch up, and now we have catching up to do.
because, yeah, literally, because it's a shorter season. It's literally the
Mm.
show's shortest season in years and years. I thought we were going to catch up, but yeah, shit got in the way. But look, we're finally here and happy to be here. Happy to be here with you
Yeah,
because
I'm happy.
you're a beautiful man.
Thank you.
Hmm?
You're not too bad yourself.
You're a beautiful man, and you you stroke well.
Wow, happy to hear that.
Yeah, clearly years of experience. But anyway, guys, welcome to Dillon and Sebastian Ever Simpsons podcast. The podcast myself and Sebastian here do, and between us, I say we have at least one decent human brain.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair to say.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Today we're reviewing, yes, as I mentioned, the final episode of season 35 is Bart's Brain. Are we good to
Mm-hmm.
jump in?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, I was happy to see an episode with Bart's name in the title.
Yeah, it's a long time
Made this
coming.
point many times before. 100%. I made this point many times before, but I feel um, like nothing's ever been said publicly, obviously, but I feel like the current generation of writers don't know how to write for Bart as much as they do Homer, Marge, and Lisa. I feel like he's the character who's used of the main family, the character who's used the least in these later seasons,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy because in the earliest seasons of the show, he was the main character. He was the focus more than Homer was. Um, that point being, I'm always happy to see an episode where he's in the lead role. And I thought for the most part, I have some critiques, obviously, that we'll get into. For the most part, I think him as a character really shines in this episode.
Yeah, definitely. It was very refreshing to see.
Yeah, 100%. You're seeing the classic Bard. Yeah, absolutely. But we open up at the Springfield retirement home. Grandpa is reading High Pants Times, and he's looking at them, being like, "Oh, these beauties would diaper up real nice." Marge and Homer come in to tell him that they found a better room for him. And he's really excited. They go in and they see it's actually a better room for them, not for him. It's much smaller and cheaper. And Homer says it's right next to the ice and pill machine. It's just so much noise in the room, right next to the room. And Homer says once he gets used to the smaller space, it will ease his transition into a cozy pine box. And Grandpa's like, "You promised me black walnut." 1 second, it stopped again. Yeah, it might just keep happening. Um, he, nope, fuck this. Just keep it rolling. Why is it being weird? Just stay. It's like trying to train a dog. I don't know why this is happening. All right. He goes, "You promised me black walnut." And Homer's like, "Oh, of course, only the best for my dad." And then he gives him a hug, and as he's doing it, he nods no. Such a weird little guy that comes back in a second. Um, Bart and Lisa are like sorting out all of his stuff, like moving it into the new room. And Bart asks Grandpa if he can have his old World War II stuff. And Grandpa says it warms his heart to know that his memories are going to someone who will cherish him. And they hug, and Bart just nods no. It's such a strange little guy. I enjoyed it. We then cut to Bart at Herman's Military Antiques, a store and a character we have not seen in years.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty. It was nostalgic to see him. Um, I think in the really early seasons, they kind of tried to make before they kind of figured out who their main characters outside the family were. They tried to make him kind of one of the main people.
Hmm.
Didn't quite work out, but he's an interesting character, so it was cool to see him again. So Bart is trying to sell Grandpa's badges, but Herman says that they're all badges for cowardice, which is great. And he's also disappointed that the grenade doesn't work. Test out the grenade in the store. It's like if it did work, they would have died. He decides to give Bart $100 store credit, and Bart's going around the store trying to find what he can buy with the $100, and he finds a human brain in a jar, and he's delighted, and he says that today a prank boy has become a prank god. He buys this and he starts causing havoc around Springfield. He throws it. Oh, so it's like a recreation of the show's opening, which is cool because we didn't get a proper opening in this episode, and actually
Yeah.
haven't in a while this season, I don't think. Yeah, so it was kind of cool to see the opening being done in a different way. It's like the usual opening with Bart's going around with the brain. So it's like Homer in the power plant, he pops up with the brain. Marge at the checkout with Maggie, she scans the brain, and then Lisa going through her music class on the saxophone, and Bart pops in with the brain. And finally, of course, the couch gag. They run to the couch and they run away because the brain's on the sofa, which I thought was great. Nice little reference, meta little gag in there. Um, but yeah, we then cut to Springfield Elementary. There's a sign outside saying like homeschooling, but at school. We see Chalmers and Skinner are taking the controller through the whole school. They're showing him like the cafeteria and all the new healthy foods they have put out. And then Bart just like shows them the brain, and it causes all of the students to start vomiting. I was, as I said, I have some critiques. This was such a. How is this even a gag? He just shows them the brain. There's nothing like.
Yeah.
There was no actual prank there. He just pops up.
I feel you as well. Like, how is that enough to make everyone vomit?
I mean, a human brain is disgusting. I'm sure if I saw one in real life, I feel kind of queasy as well. Um, but yeah, I don't even mind the vomiting part. It's just that it wasn't the I wouldn't even call that a prank because he just turns up and shows them the brain. There was nothing elaborate about it.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. As I said, little things like that throughout, but still, just grateful to have a Bart focus episode. Um, but yeah, Skinner takes him to the principal's office. He's saying that he traumatized a scour of students. He made the cafeteria uninhabitable for weeks, and worst of all, he broke Willie, which is cut to Willie mowing the lawn outside. He's like, so many chunks. Um, Bart says that he's willing to accept whatever punishment they want to throw at him because there was no way he wasn't going to pull that prank. Which again is maybe, what do you mean there was no way? That wasn't a prank. He just showed them your brain. um, but Miss Peyton comes in and she suggests turning the punishment into a learning opportunity. She says he should learn to take care of the brain and journal his experience and gain a sense of responsibility. He begs her not to make him do it, and Chalmers is like looking at Bart, and he's like, pale skin, sweaty lip, twitchy eye. Now that's punishing. Miss Peyton, make it so. We then cut to the class the next day. She Bart has the brain, and all the other students are given eggs, which they're going to use as like pretending to be parents. Something we've seen on TV shows a lot, I feel like, but maybe it's an American thing. I certainly never did that. gratefully, because sounds like a lame
Yeah.
assignment. Uh, yeah, think it'd be too easy to just. I'll just take the egg home with me and then just pretend that I was nurturing it and taking care of it when I come back the next day, much like being a parent in real life.
Yeah, that's a good shout. It just seems a bit pointless. I don't know. You don't learn much.
No, you can just journal the experience and you just make shit up. You know what I mean? I mean, to be fair, I actually did a lot in my drama and theater degree. We had to do journals for like some of the practical classes and like talk about how certain exercises or certain scenes in the play, like how they challenge us as an actor and stuff. And I'd say 90% of the time I was just talking absolute
Oh
bollocks.
yeah.
And you get full
Yeah.
marks for it.
That's a
You know,
lot of
because oh I
education in
felt
general.
yeah, exactly. Just being like, oh, I felt so connected to my soul. It's like, boom, full marks, beautiful point. It's like I'm totally not, I made that up. I guess it's in a way it's still acting. Um, but then Bart says he begs Miss Peyton again to not make him do it. He had his 5 minutes of fun, and now he just wants to move on with his life. Miss Peyton just goes, "That's parenthood," which was a great gag. And Nelson tells his egg that he's going out for candy cigarettes. He just leaves. Brilliant gag. Him just becoming his father. um, and Bart just goes, using a human brain for homework. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then his own brain starts talking to him and says that he can help. And he's like, shut up, stupid, or I'll go back to sniffing permanent markers. He's like, oh, I'll be good, I'll be good. That was again like a kind of a throwback to kind of gags that happened in the earlier seasons. It was more so Homer. They always do gags where Homer starts talking to his brain, which was so good. That reminded me of that. I thought that was sick.
Yeah.
Funny gag as well. So good. We go back to the house. Lisa's judging Bart for not journaling. And Bart says he's going to mill houses to watch reaction videos of reaction videos. He asks Homer to watch out of his grandson, and he says that he'll take care of the brain the same way that he took care of Bart when he was a baby. We didn't cut him at Moe's, and he just puts the brain on the side on the bar shelf. And Mo says that he's no longer accepting organs as payment anymore. So many great Mo gags in the episode, I thought, from this point onwards. Um, he says, "Oh, it's just my boy's brain," and Carol goes, "Ah, they grow up so fast." Stupid gags. We then cut to Millhouse's. Him and Bart are playing video games. Millhouse says that he enjoys being a dad because he can fix the mistakes his parents made with him. And he just shouts at the egg and goes, "I'm a failure because of you." Fun little detail in this scene that I liked is Millhouse had a Sideshow Mel poster. And I thought it was really clever because Sideshow Mel is obviously Krusty's sidekick, and Bart has a bunch of Krusty posters in his room.
Yeah, it kind of makes
Did you spot
sense.
that at all?
Yeah, I didn't spot it, but it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it was such a clever
Yeah.
yeah, such a clever little detail. It's so stupid, but like yeah, Millhouse is Bart's sidekick. Sideshow Mel is Krusty's sidekick, so it would make sense for that Millhouse would idolize Sideshow Mel rather than Krusty. Yeah, I thought that was clever. Um, yeah, then Bart starts to get worried about the brain, and he heads off, and we come back to the house. Homer gets back late from Moe's. Obviously, he's drunk, and he accidentally brought home Moe's pickled eggs jar rather than the brain. And Homer's like, "Oh, I must have got them mixed up. We're making the two jars kiss." So then Bart runs to Moe's. We see Barry's passed out on the floor, and Moe takes his wallet. That's a great quick little gag. It's the most corrupt man possible. And Bart comes in and he goes, "What happened to the brain my dad had?" And again, great moment is he just goes, years of drinking, all that nucleus stuff. I don't think it was all that good to begin with. And he's like, "No, I mean the brain in the jar that he brought in." He says he left it out in the alleyway for the raccoons. He runs out to the raccoons and sees that they're eating nicotine beef jerky, and Bart realizes that the bullies took it. We then cut to Jimbo, Dolph, and Kearney. They're having the nicotine beef jerky, and Kearney's like, I feel like I smoked a whole cow. And they go to blow up the brain, but Bart comes by and saves it. And we see that he's like suddenly becoming really caring of the brain. And Kearney goes, I wonder if anyone will ever love me the way he loves that brain. Bart decides to start calling him Buddy at the brain. We then cut to the family going to dinner at Luigi's. And Bart requests a high chair for the brain. We see Marge is getting really uncomfortable by it. And Luigi's put off as well and doesn't want to put off the customers. So he offers him a private dining room. We see it's just the fridge. And Marge is worried as Bart's now named the brain and also gave it a bite of his tiramisu. But Homer says the weirdos aren't what they used to be. Now weirdos start computer companies or they buy football teams or they become serial killers. But the odds are still good. And we cut to school the next day. We see Bart is thrilled to learn that he got an A plus on his journal. And then Miss Peyton encourages all of them to give up their child. And she suggests to Bart to put Buddy in the science lab. But Bart says that Buddy is like him. He's into doing wrestling moves on the dog and pouring Red Bull on pancakes, which just very specific, but it for some reason makes perfect sense that Bart would put Red Bull on pancakes.
Yeah.
Instead of maple syrup. He tells her that he's to stop using the kids in the school and start having some kids of her own. And he storms off, and Miss Peyton starts crying. She's like, I never should have told you I was trying. And all the kids go up there and start being super supportive. Milhouse is like, it's only been 3 months. Give it time. This is great. We then cut to Homer shopping at a supermarket, and he overhears Luann and Linda Hibbert talking about how weird a kid in the school is and how he's not weird and the diagnosed kind of way that they pretend to like. It's such a dark little comment. He says that he goes around with a brain and he even talks to the brain when no one's looking. And Homer's like, I wonder who they're talking about. Mole Man? And Nelson says that he should have bullied him more and noogie some sense into him. We then, what's this? Marge puts a, oh yeah, again, such a weird gag. As Homer comes home, we see Marge is taking a watermelon out of the oven and then putting the watermelon into the fridge.
It's bizarre.
Such a random, so bizarre, never addressed, but made me laugh. I love just how utterly random it was.
I feel like it was a weird reference to something. I don't know.
Maybe it was, yeah, maybe it was. Whatever it was totally lost on me. But even if it was just a stupid, quick little gag, I kind of enjoyed this. That it was just nonsense. Like it just made no sense, and that was it.
Yeah.
That's all there was to it. I liked it. Yeah, Homer tells Marge what he heard at the supermarket, and Lisa comes in and says she has a suggestion. And Homer's like, little Miss Know-It-All. We didn't cut to the next morning. They're all dressed up for church, but they haven't woken up Bart. And they're like quietly trying to leave the house, but the door handle's making a lot of noise. And Marge is like, I told you to oil that. And Homer's like, I'm not an architect. And Bart wakes up and he asks them why they didn't wake him up for church. And Homer's like, oh, you hate church. You know, the itchy pants and the book of stuff that never happened. And Bart says that he can skip it as a reward for being so normal. And Bart asks if they're ashamed of him. And Homer's like, oh, why would we be ashamed of you? You know, why would we be ashamed of our son who's best friends with a jar of human remains? We didn't cut. They run off. They go to church without, and we go to the first church of Springfield and a sign saying, like online church, but at church. The great silly little signs throughout the episode as well. And they're watching Reverend Lovejoy give a sermon, and Homer's like, oh, it's so boring, but finally some peace away from the boy. And Bart arrives with Buddy. And Mo Man's like, oh, it's so gross and wrinkled. And Ralph's like, oh, Bart's trouble. Bart's trouble. And he starts eating a Bible. Bart says that they promise to always love him unconditionally. And then Marge interrupts and goes, this was an unforeseen condition, which I thought that line was really interesting, like a really blunt, mean line from Marge. I was kind of disappointed they didn't really go anywhere with that.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that was a really big,
I
kind of
feel you.
dark, yeah, like a very weighted thing for her to say, and they just didn't do anything with it afterwards. You know, I feel like there could have been opportunity there for let there has been some sort of like relationship building between Marge and Bart after her saying something so horrible, but they just kind of ignored it
I
afterwards.
feel you, yeah, and it's something we don't see enough of.
No, no, exactly. Because when she said that, I was like, oh, it's so interesting. They didn't do anything else with it. That was a bit let down, but whatever. I feel like I made the comment before about how like uh, the last half of the season got cut because of the actors and writers strike. I feel like, especially towards these later episodes, some of these scripts were probably unfinished,
Hmm.
and I feel like this episode you could really tell it felt like it probably didn't go through as much drafts as other
Hmm.
episodes
Yeah,
might. You
I
know what I
feel
mean?
that. Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting concepts in here, but they're just not fully realized. I'm always getting into the review portion already, but it felt like worth mentioning because I thought that line was so interesting. They just didn't do anything with it afterwards. Like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, and then Bart goes like, "Why does it matter? Sideshow Mel has a human bone in his hair, but no one talks about that." And Mel says it's actually the femur of a kangaroo. Nice little detail. And Bart says that he has a friend. He goes to the top of the podium of the church and he says he has a friend who's always been there for him no matter what. He never judges him. And as he's saying this, Milhouse is like walking towards the stage. He's like, "My brain, buddy." And Milhouse just walks back. Always loved this Bart totally taking him for granted. um, and as he's saying all this, he finds a tag at the bottom of the jar that reveals the brain to have been Corbin Eberly, who died on the 23rd of June, 1975. And Lisa looks it up and finds out that he was a local tax accountant who donated his body to science. And Bart realizes that Buddy is nothing like him. Um, and Homer's like, no boy wants his brain to turn out to be a loser. And Marge informs everyone that this was just a phase, and she apologizes to Bart that they weren't more supportive. Final little gag, like a parody of the ending of Fast and Furious 7. Bart on a skateboard with Buddy, and Buddy's on a separate skateboard, and they like separate, and he sends Buddy back to Springfield University, which is where the bottom of the jar said that he was from. And Professor Frink finds the brain and he's like, "Oh my god, Corbin, let's never fight again." And Bart just watches that and goes, "Oh, what a weirdo." And our final little tag of the episode, Marge takes Bart to an eccentric child support group. We see there's a kid with a snake wrapped around him, a kid walking on stilts, Kearney's son can't stop knitting, and Disco Stew has a goth son, which I thought was a great detail. I hope they go back to someday.
Yeah, interesting.
What a great little conflict that would be. Yeah, it's like the exact opposite music and style tastes of Disco Stew. Just totally resents him. I
Always
really hope they
teasing
do some.
us with Disco Stew, and I feel like something's going to happen.
I really hope so. I feel like he is a
Yeah.
character who's well overdue, like a proper episode, like that really focuses on him because he's definitely a one note gag character, but they in the past have managed to turn one note characters into fully fledged out interesting humans. So I feel like he's a character that they could easily do that with.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so yeah, and something I would I actually like to know more about, like what are his origins. You could really go deep and dark as to why he's so obsessed with disco in the 70s, like it was the best period of his life and he can't stop reflecting on it or something.
Yeah.
There's so much you can do there. So yeah, that concludes the episode. As always, I will let you go
Yeah.
first.
No, of course. It was a mad episode.
It really was.
It was good though. I did enjoy it. A
Yeah,
few sort of standout moments.
definitely.
Probably sending Skinner into some sort of like philosophical meltdown. That was a highlight moment. Um,
Always.
I would say Homer trying to bond with the brain like it's a new pet, only to forget about it in the fridge. That was another like standout moment. And I
I
think
loved
just
all the stuff with
yeah, all of
Moe's.
Moe's scenes were just
Yeah,
standout moments.
great.
I would say it was a good mix of like weirdness and it had a bit of heart in it, although we may have wanted to see a bit more.
Mm,
But solid laughs, clever satire, and then a few surprising emotional layers.
yeah.
Um, I would say similar problem like we have, and you touched on it earlier, probably due to the script. It
Hmm.
did feel rushed towards the end,
Yeah.
like they
Hmm.
needed to find some sort of ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would give it because I really enjoyed the humorous side. I'd be generous, and I'm going to give it a 7.5.
7.5, fair enough. We have a rare scenario where I actually rated it lower than you then.
Wow.
Yeah, it is very rare. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Like, 7 out of 10 is that means I liked it more than I didn't like it, obviously, but there was just some very obvious blemishes in the script for me. Um, and I am defensive when I say that I do feel like it's a result of the writer's strike, and it's very clear to me that this episode wasn't drafted as much as they would usually draft their scripts, because
For sure.
you just tell there's concepts that don't connect in this episode that they would have found a way to make it connect if they didn't have to go on strike.
Agreed.
But that's only a thing that I can say as somebody who knows about those things. Whereas a viewer watching this episode who isn't researched in that, which is going to be most people, I feel like it'll just come across as an episode that has all these
Of
inconsistent
course,
things that
yeah.
don't quite connect, you know?
And we can't
Um,
really make excuses.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I feel sympathetic towards that. It's like, what could they do? They weren't working and they were fighting a good cause, but most people won't know that context, and it just feels like
Mhm.
a rushed episode of television, you know. But yeah, here's my overall review. I think it starts off great, but I think it loses momentum. Like, it's 20 minutes. I think the first 10 minutes are brilliant, and then it gets messy towards the second half. Um, I said that I thought that the changing the focus was a poor choice. As in, like, I loved the first half, was Bart's episode, and I loved his focus there. And then it weirdly shifts over to Marge and the rest of the family. I would have preferred if they just stuck with Bart.
Mhm.
I
I
was
agree.
enjoying, yeah, I was enjoying seeing his perspective. Um, I thought the relationship with Buddy was really interesting, but again, a little bit inconsistent. In that, for at the beginning, he was like being his parent and being his mother, and he was like worrying about him and stuff, and that I thought was interesting. But then it changed to him seeing himself in Buddy. It was like those are two very different things. Do you know what I mean? They just changed it midway through.
I feel that, yeah,
Um,
if it like started off as maybe a friend relationship, you can
was
see
built.
that
Mm,
comparison. But as
yeah,
it was like a father child to then that, it's a bit of a weird shift.
that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. If
Yeah.
they did the other way around, that would have made perfect sense. But yeah, the way they did it, it's weird. Yeah, how do you go from being seeing yourself as the mother to then just seeing them as, yeah, your buddy, or
Mm.
calling him buddy, and yeah, your friend, or seeing yourself in the brain. Um, yeah, it didn't all quite add up. I said, yeah, what I already said, it was probably rushed because of the strike. And I said I'm possibly being harsher on this episode because it is the last episode of season 35. And I always feel like I'm more forgiving of an episode, like, having being kind of weak, if it's bang in the middle. Whereas I really like my seasons to start off strong and end strong. And I think
Mhm.
this is not the best episode to end the season on, unfortunately. Um, and look, it's only the 18th episode of this season, so it definitely wasn't planned to be the last episode of season 35, but it is, and it just kind of just ends the
Yeah,
season on kind of
it's a
a
bit
kind
of
of
a
a dull.
shame.
Yeah, it is. It would have been perfectly fine if there was, the usual 22 episodes, and this was the 18th episode. That would have been fine, because it's bang in the middle. But yeah, it's just hard to it being the last episode, being like, oh, that's a bit underwhelming, you know. Yeah, I know I'm being really critical. There was actually a lot I liked about the episode as well. I felt just grateful and thankful to see a Bart focused episode, and I
100%.
loved seeing him being the classic Bart of like pulling the pranks and becoming so obsessed with this brain in such a typical cheeky Bart way. I really enjoyed, and that's why I say I think the first episode, the first half of the episode was stronger in the second half because that was all Bart focused. It lost me when they switched over to
Mhm.
Marge and the rest, mainly Marge, kind of the rest of the family as well. I thought it was 10 times more interesting when it was Bart's episode. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
makes sense.
And that doesn't even go like Bart's not even my favorite character. Like I probably prefer Homer and Lisa. I definitely prefer Homer. I might prefer Lisa. But he's still one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. We definitely don't see as much of him in these recent seasons as we do the other three. So I was
Mhm.
really happy to see an episode that was focusing on him, and then it just went back to Homer, Marge, and Lisa. I was like, oh no, I wanted to see what Bart was up to, you know?
Yeah, I feel that.
Um, yeah, totally. But anyway, it was an interesting episode. It had a lot of obvious blemishes.
I feel
But
that.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So there's a lot of interesting elements to it for sure.
Just before we continue,
Mm.
I maybe I will send this to you and you can do some like quick editing to just make it appear on screen.
Okay.
Or I can just show it to the camera now if I can find it quick. But
Uh,
ages ago, when I went to the US when I was about 17, I went to Universal and I bought my dad something Simpsons related. And I
oh,
only
nice.
found this because we did this thing at work where everyone had to like show their mug collection. Don't ask, just work stuff. Um,
That sounds like such a boring work game.
um,
That's like something you'd see in the office. Oh, I tell you, mugs.
and my one at home is quite boring. And then I asked my
Yeah.
dad, "Is there any like cool ones that you have, or that are
Mm.
from when I was living with you?" And I remembered I bought this for him at Universal. Show the camera if you. I don't know if it's gonna see it with the green screen.
Oh my God. I swear in my life, I used to have the exact same mug
Yeah, and you can put the biscuits in the
inside his
in the
mouth.
mouth. It's
Yeah.
genius.
It was nice. I do remember you couldn't fit a whole lot of liquid into it,
Ah,
which is why I didn't use it as much because half of your cup is missing because of the mouth part. Um, but it was still sick, and I obviously did the classic thing of putting a donut in there, the pink sprinkle
oh,
donut.
perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, I had the exact same mug. That's a coincidence. And that was a popular mug. I remember that being at the Universal in Florida. Which one were you at? You had the one in LA.
LA. Yeah.
LA, that's what I thought. I mean, while we're sharing mugs, I know you love my mug. I literally just got it for free off a buddy who was throwing it away, and it's like my go-to mug now because it fills so much liquid. But it's literally like the one that just says, "Here comes trouble."
It's perfect mug size.
Perfect mug size.
Yeah.
I actually like how cheesy it is.
So
So
you.
dumb. Oh, it's so me. The little wink. Here comes trouble, and his tongue's sticking out. So lame. Anyhow, let's jump on into the news then. Yeah, a couple of fun pieces of news. I mean, some of the best news we've had in months, in my opinion. I'm not sure if you saw, but the show has been renewed for not one, not two, but four more seasons, taking it all the way to season 40.
Wow.
Yeah, insane, but I'm absolutely delighted. There was definitely a little bit of friction for a while online. You know how like Disney are like doing those exclusive to Disney Plus episodes and stuff like that. People were like feeling like they were gonna cancel the show or like change its format to
Mhm.
only being on Disney Plus or something. So this announcement confirms that they're not doing that, at least not anytime soon. So
That's
that made me
good.
very happy to see.
Mm.
Yeah. And four more seasons will take the show to at least 900 episodes. It's fucking mental.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Insane, insane. I'm very happy. And also, just to mention, they also renewed Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, and American Dad for four more seasons on top of The
Amazing news.
Simpsons.
Yeah.
Amazing news. Makes me happy just to know that they're not. People were getting fearful they were going to like change the format of like network television animated shows. So I'm just happy to see that they're clearly not doing that anytime soon,
Mhm.
which is great. Um, yeah, what was the other piece of news? Oh, yes, a comedian named Mo Collins has been confirmed to start voicing Jimbo
Okay.
Jones, from season 36, midway into season 36 onwards. You might not remember a couple of weeks ago, that's probably a couple of months ago now, Pamela Hayden retired from the show, who voiced Millhouse, Jimbo, a couple of other characters. Those would be her main two, Millhouse and Jimbo. We don't know yet who's voicing Millhouse, but this lady, Mo Collins, is confirmed to be voicing Jimbo, which is cool. I looked her up on Wikipedia and saw her acting background. She's like a lot of improv experience and stand up and lots of live comedy. So I'm sure it's like a cool like dream come true for her to be
Yeah,
voicing.
I feel like it's not a voice you hear enough for it to be jarring, even if it's slightly wrong.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure. And that's probably why they casted Jimbo sooner than Millhouse because Millhouse is like one of the most prominent
Of
characters
course.
outside the family. So you need to find somebody who's like pitch perfect for him, I think. You know, but yeah, I get over Jimbo the same way I got over like Carol doesn't sound the exact same as he used to, but I got over it pretty fast.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Whereas someone like Millhouse, you do need somebody who like
Absolutely.
captures that voice perfectly. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, And yeah, what was the other piece of news? Oh yes, it was rumored for ages that Disney were thinking of Disney Plus were thinking of doing like a 24-hour Simpsons stream. That is confirmed. It's happening. It's actually I think it's already in the Disney Plus in America and it's coming to the UK and Ireland really soon. But that is now confirmed to be a thing. Um, I'm down for it. I think this is a fun, different, weird way to watch the show. You can just click onto it and just be,
Suppose, yeah, the appealing thing about it is the chat, I guess. You can talk. I'm assuming that might be a thing.
I didn't see that. I don't
Um,
think so.
if not, I find it really pointless.
I feel like it's just like it's going back to that kind of classic network TV thing. I don't know, I'm kind of down for it. I feel like you click in, you see an episode you never think to watch
True.
when you're just randomly selecting episodes yourself.
Yeah,
It
or
would be
like
like, oh, this
tuning
one,
in to like a random moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. You're like, oh, this one's a hidden gem that I wouldn't have thought to put on. You know,
Mm.
I think it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't done it yet. It's not here yet, but I'll definitely be giving it a go. And yeah, that concludes all the news this week. Some fun pieces. Let's
Nice.
jump on into the classics.
Hey, everyone's favorite.
Everyone's favorite baby.
Maybe we should do a poll for like people's favorite segment.
Yeah, we don't actually know what people's favorite segment is. Sam's Classic is definitely my favorite segment too, but
Oh,
I I don't
my
know how other
favorite
people feel.
segment currently is 11
Question.
questions.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
Penguins is my favorite too, but
yeah.
Sam's
So
Classic is like the it's like the king of the segments. Like say other segments might come and go, but I think Sam's Classics will like
it
always be there.
remains, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, without further ado, Seb's
Mm,
classics this week is Large Marge, a season
indeed.
14, a very rogue episode. Um,
Yeah.
one you might stick on in a certain mood if you want to see, you know, Marge.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned to you over messages, and might be a weird thing to say in the podcast, but I feel dishonest not mentioning it, as I do
Yeah.
remember seeing this episode at a very young age
Look, we've
and
been there.
finding her big boobs very
We've
sexy.
we've been there. There's nothing to
Yeah,
be ashamed of.
no, I mean they're animated in a very it's
Yeah.
well animated. It's in a very pleasing way.
So, in Large Marge, Marge
Yeah,
accidentally gets breast implants due to a hospital mix-up while trying to get a simple cosmetic procedure. Chaos then ensued as her appearance draws unexpected attention, especially from Mayor Quimby's office, who hires her for PR appearances. Again,
yeah,
another obvious reference to JFK.
yeah. Of course,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
um, meanwhile, Bart and Millhouse get inspired by old Krusty stunt and try to recreate it, leading to a whole round of Springfield-style disaster. I love this. I mean, this episode's great because the main plot is interesting, and then it's
Yeah.
one of them where the side plot is like almost more interesting and
Yeah,
funny.
the subplot I literally completely forgot about that it's not one of those subplots that like is a totally hidden gem because it's not the most popular episode of this season. But then if you did think of the episode, you're obviously going to think of the marriage boo plot line. You're going to totally
Mhm.
forget about Bart getting Krusty cancelled and trying to get his career back. But yeah, I agree. I actually think it's more interesting
Yeah.
in the main plot. There's
Um,
more substance to it.
so yeah, just stand-up moments for me. Um,
Mm.
the hospital mix-up scene where
Oh
Dr.
yeah,
Hibbert casually explaining you signed the form, so legally those are yours now.
it's
Um,
so stupid. But like, Marge wants to get liposuction. She feels like she has like a little bit of fat and wants to appear more attractive to
mhm.
Homer. And the doctor mixes up the liposuction with another woman who was getting breast implants.
Yeah. I mean,
It's so dumb.
this is the most feminist I'll ever sound, but I find it
Mm.
mad that Marge is trying to look skinnier than she already is for Homer.
I I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, we had that whole bit where Manjula is like fat shaming her, and she's like just grabbing at her love handles. Like she has to like really find the love handles
Yeah.
because yeah, Marge is not a fat woman.
Um,
I love the bit as well where she's like, "Oh, my husband's going to be outraged when he finds out about this," and the doctor's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll be so upset."
oh yeah.
So good.
Um,
So very
I
silly, like sexist undertones throughout the episode.
I
They
think
go to Luigi's
yeah,
and they all just start singing about how much they love her boobs. So
so
I love the
good.
bit as well. At the very end of the song, they're all like, "Hooray!" And they're all so happy. And the moment the music stops, they just like walk away and look so bored.
Yeah, it's a
Just a
great
great,
moment.
like, silly guy. Yeah.
I think yeah, Marge awkwardly navigating her new status as sex symbol, including memorable slow-mo walk past the quickie mart. Um,
Mhm.
Bart and Milhouse attempt to jump a skateboard over a pit of mouse traps. It's just like slapstick comedy, but it was great.
Yeah, so good. So good. Great
And
bit
then
of gags like that.
Krusty rebranding himself as Edgy to compete with Extreme Kids. And then there's the wild montage.
Well, he was rebranding himself as not edgy. He was like
Sorry,
being,
yeah.
yeah, he was being super safe. Yeah, that whole bit is great. We're like, Sideshow Mel is like in a full body cast. He's like warning them about the dangers of practical stunts. It's like such a boring version of the Krusty show. But it's again one of those little things that The Simpsons does where it's like they're so ahead of themselves sometimes because they're such smart writers. Like
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing of Krusty getting cancelled and all the people outside picketing. I feel like that is a thing that's so much more common nowadays than it would have been back then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just them being ahead of the curve as usual. Especially like we see that the guy that inspired Bart and Milhouse to do that prank at the school that made Milhouse knock over the American flag and then vomit on top of it. They were inspired by like an old Batman episode, which is
Mm-hmm.
from the '60s, which Krusty was in. So it's implied that happened years ago. So it's like people literally getting upset over something that happened a long time ago. That was not happening when this season came out. You know what I mean? But it's happening now. So
Mm-hmm.
it's again them just
Interesting.
being really yeah, them being
Yeah.
smart writers.
I
Um,
yeah, I don't think it's a like by any means a perfect episode.
no, me
However,
neither.
because I was looking at reviews and it's not like got amazing reviews, it's just sort of standard. And I just think it's
Yeah,
actually hard for me to point out a flaw in the episode. So I actually gave it an 8.5.
8.5. Geez,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I still think it's a solid episode. I would say it's the best episode of this season. But like it's just one of those ones again that you put it on and like there's so much bits that you don't remember because the main plot isn't very not a whole lot happens in it. Like it's not it's an interest it's an enjoyable plot, but like it's not very weighted. It's if marriage gets big boobs, it gets more opportunities. That's like the whole main plot. But it's enjoyable, but it mainly makes up for that by just having fantastic gags and also a subplot that I think is stronger than the main plot. I love the sequence at the beginning where Lisa takes Homer out to paint houses for homeless people. And he's like doing graffiti on the walls, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, if Bart could be El Barto," and he's just written El Homo. And then a gay that walks up and is like, "I admire your courage." He's like, "Oh my god!" Like starts painting over it,
So
and
good.
it's so good. And there's that weird little sequence of like the former presidents all like painting houses together, and it's George Bush Senior, Bill Clinton, and Jimmy Carter, and they're like the three Stooges, and they're all like hitting each other in the heads with the saws and everything. Again, just like great classic comedy gag there,
Yeah.
done so well. Um, yeah, so we just like random funny bits throughout the episode. Like there's that bit where Marge goes to the dry cleaners, I think, with Manjula, and Compo Guy hands the dry cleaner a Superman top, and he goes, "He had it ready tomorrow for a funeral, please." It's a quick weird thing.
Classic. That is a
Superman
shirt.
costume.
That's just made me think that is a shirt you do not see anymore. But that was a
Oh,
thing back in the day. The nerds, they'd be walking around in a Superman shirt.
oh, early 2000s, big time.
Yeah.
It's like the safest thing to be nerdy about. Like I like
Yeah.
Superman. Like who doesn't?
And
you know?
you do see it sometimes now, but only really with the Batman t-shirts. It's quite a common one.
Yeah, yeah. Batman is probably more common than Superman. You're so right though. Yeah, like early 2000s, maybe early 2010s. Yeah, Superman tops all
Proper
the fucking time.
a proper 2010 fit would be Superman shirt, a Cookie Monster snapback,
Yeah, yeah. Oh
skinny
my God.
jeans, and some checkerboard Vans.
Oh man, that is some checkerboard fucking Vans. Yeah, that is that to me is literally just a safe nerd.
Yeah,
I like Superman. Like grew up watching Sesame Street. You know, I don't want to be controversial in my taste, but I still want to appear nerdy.
yeah.
So I go to wear these. Yeah. Final little things. I like the episode kind of throwing back to older episodes, just like kind of like doing that little reminder that the show was canon. Everything that happened did actually
Hmm.
happen. There's that bit where Marge mentions to him and Julia, like, "Oh, do you remember when Apu had an affair?" He's like, "Yes." Like, thanks for reminding me. And then there's that sequence at the end with Bart and Milhouse trying to save Krusty's career and bring him back as Stampy is
Hmm.
at the fair that Marge is like doing some modeling thing for. Um, and they get him to, it's like his safe word is like Majumbo, something like that. Um, and then, they get Bart to go in, not Bart, to get Milhouse, obviously, to go into Stampy's mouth, and Krusty has to save him by saying the safety word, but he can't think of it. I just like the whole detail of like that Stampy was the elephant, and Barry says like, "Oh look, it's my old friend Stampy's gonna help us out." That was a nice little gag. And then Homer somehow gets he's trying to save Bart and Milhouse. He gets stuck in the mouth as well, obviously, because classic Homer. And then Krusty eventually remembers the words because he sees Marge's boobs. He's like, "Oh, look at those majumbos!" And he spits out Bart, Milhouse, and Homer.
It was
And
a
Homer
yeah,
goes,
that's a great like Easter egg.
"Great, Elisa, yeah, so
Yeah.
fun." Then there's that great line where Homer goes, "Which side did I come out of? I've already showered today." Great little guy, yeah. And I made me laugh so much. It was so stupid. Is when Marge gets her surgery at the end because her big boobs were giving her like massive back problems. She gets her surgery at the end and goes back to normal. Um, and Homer says like, it doesn't matter to him how she looks, and he wants to be the only person ogling her, and then he's like, "Oh, we're gonna be doing a lot more than ogling." And Marge is like, And he just goes, "Let's go for fried chicken." So stupid, made me laugh so much. Just such a weird way to end the episode. Yeah, yeah. Like, as I said, it's definitely not a remarkable episode, but like it does, as you said, it doesn't do anything wrong. It's like it doesn't skip a beat. It's consistently funny, great gags, and I never mind an episode that's like heavier on gags than it is plot, and that's definitely this episode.
Yeah, 100%.
As long as the gags are great, which they happen
Yeah.
to be in this episode. Yeah, so yeah,
Almost
super fun.
like a Family Guy episode.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't disagree at all. Yeah, something quick, like it had so many non sequitur gags, like the Superman one I just mentioned, that have nothing to do whatsoever with the plot of the episode, which is definitely more inclined on Family Guy's end than the Simpsons. But yeah, as I said, never mind it. Then the plot was so simple that you could easily do gags that had nothing to do
Yeah,
with plot.
definitely.
Yeah, that was the joy of a simple setup is you can waste time with stupid gags and it doesn't matter, because it's like we don't have that much exposition to get through anyway. Yeah, super fun episode. All right, let's jump on to 10 questions.
Hey, so the segment where Dylan has 10 questions to figure out the Simpsons character I'm thinking of, and on his
Indeed.
11th, after the 10th question, he has to try and give an answer. But any answer he
Mm.
gives counts as a question if he does one in between. So, Dylan, the floor's yours, buddy.
All righty. As I always ask first, just in case, is it a member of the family?
No.
Nice. Is it a male?
Yes.
Yes. Is it a kid?
No.
No. Is he in multiple episodes?
Yes.
Yes. It's not a kid, it's a male. Multiple episodes. Is it a human being?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Hmm. Would I associate the character mainly through Homer?
No.
No. Would I associate the character through Bart? No.
No, there's no specific character this
There's
relates
no
to.
specific character. Okay. Hmm. He's in multiple episodes. He's an adult, not in the family. God, I haven't really scratched the surface here. Does this character live in Springfield?
Yes.
Yes. He's in multiple episodes. Is he older than Homer?
Now that's a question that I would have to bring up the
Okay,
wiki
well,
for. I'm gonna say
he's roughly Homer's age then.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. He's an adult man. He's not an elderly person then. Fuck me. Do I only have one question left?
Do you know what? Because you're so far away from it, I'll give you two.
I'm I'm so far away. Thanks. Jeez, I should start getting more specific. Does he work for television?
Yeah.
Yes.
Technically, yeah. He's done television work.
Oh, technically.
Yeah, he is. Let's say he is. It's
He
yeah.
is. Okay. Is he an actor?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. I have to guess the character now, don't I?
But focus more on TV personality rather than actor.
Rather than actor. There's like only two people it could be, I think. Oh boy, here we go. No, there's more people going to my head now. There's so many people it could be. I only have one guess. Troy McClure.
No.
Sideshow Bob.
Nope.
Sideshow Mel.
Nope.
No, it wasn't anyone I thought it was. Rainier Wolfcastle? Ken Brockman. Oh man, that was not the people I was thinking of.
You're making me worried I've given you false information now. You're so
Maybe.
far off.
I was like, it could be any of the five people I just mentioned.
His
I hadn't,
occupation
but it's
is
actually not any of them.
an actor, TV personality, and Springfield City councilman.
Springfield City Councilman. Mayor Quimby? No. Springfield City Councilman? I don't know.
And he was portrayed by Hank Azaria, and
He
then they
was
changed
portrayed
it.
for and then they changed it. What do you mean?
They changed the who it's portrayed by.
The voice actor.
Yeah.
God, I mean, I obviously know him, but nothing's coming to mind. Throw it at me.
Pedro Chespirito, aka Bumblebee Man.
Bumblebee Man. Ah, of course. Ah, fuck. He just left my brain. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, he was voiced by Hank Azaria, and then.
Yeah, let's not get political, but
Oh no, I'm
portraying
not. I wasn't
portraying
going
it.
there.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Clearly, you're
But
going to go there.
let's portray the stereotypical Mexican man with another Mexican man.
Again, he's a character who isn't important enough that I
Yeah,
care
true.
if he sounds different. I mean, I clearly don't care because he wasn't even crossing my mind.
No, I was
Nicely
surprised to be
done.
honest because I think you
Nicely
guessed
done.
him before. I can't quite
Probably,
remember
yeah,
when.
probably just one of those. Yeah, he just wasn't crossing my brain at all. He's one of those like. Whenever I see him, I'm happy to see him, but I
Yeah,
don't remember him.
can
Do
you
you know what I mean?
have a guess at what his first episode appearance was?
Ooh, his first episode. I would say he comes in like season four.
It is. Won't give you the
Marriage
episode.
and
I'll just
Chain.
give you the season.
Season four?
It is season four.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because that's when they get wackier and they bring in weirder characters like him. He's a weird character. He's not a season two character, you know? I feel like, yeah, Marriage and Chains, maybe? No.
Itchy and
Monorail?
Scratchy, the movie.
It's just scratching the movie. That makes sense. I was
Yeah,
thinking it has to be an episode that's like, that where it revolves around the TV a lot.
of
So, yeah,
course.
it's just
Yeah.
scratching the movie makes perfect sense. Yeah. Yeah, sweet. So let's get on to Keep It Short.
Yeah, nothing to say there.
Nothing to say there. Okay,
No,
okay.
nothing to say.
I don't know why. I just felt like you might have something to
No, no, no.
contribute this time. Oh,
Oh,
my bad.
good.
Never mind. Yes. For those of you who don't know, Keep It Short is the segment where we cover a different Tracy Ullman show short from before the show was ever a thing. This week we are doing scary stories. Yeah, kind of a fun one. Had some
Not bad.
better, yeah, better than
Yeah.
others, not as good as some. Honestly, when as I said before, my standards of these shorts are so low that whenever they have some sort of thing going on, I'm like just grateful that it's not just like them making faces and that's it.
Mm.
Um, in this one, Bart turns the lights off. He's trying to scare Maggie and Lisa. Every time he does it, he ends up scaring himself instead. That's like the whole gag of the sketch. The first one, he's talking about an evil, insane maniac, and Lisa asks why they can't do it with the lights on, and he's like, "Oh, fine, you loser." He can't find the light, and that terrifies him. He thinks the lights are gone. Um, and then he says, "Oh, once upon a time, there was a psychopathic strangler living in a dark house." And the lights are off again. We see the Bart starts getting strangled. And he's like, what the hell is going on? Turns the light on, and Maggie is strangling him. That was the best gag I thought. The sketch. Maggie was strangling him. Great reveal. And the final one is he's talking about a vampire sucking blood and starts making the noise, and they hear somebody come in, and they all think it's a vampire, and they jump, turn the lights on. It's just Marge and Homer have came home. And that's the whole sketch. Yeah, it was fun. That's a
Oh
nice
mate,
little.
it was absolutely terrifying. Honestly.
I was at the edge of my seat for that minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But yeah, it was a fun little sketch, had some fun little animation bits. I like the use of having the lights off and just like using their eyes to convey what was happening. I thought that was creative and
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed this. All right, let's jump on over to the recommendations of the week then.
Let's do it.
All right. Last time you had a rare victory. Let's see if you're better at it virtually. Rock, paper, scissors. Paper, both of us. Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, damn, two in a row.
Damn.
Maybe
Wow.
you're better virtually. Yeah, than I am. Back to
Um,
you, sir.
so the first recommendation of the week is a YouTube channel called Honest
Hmm.
Places.
Honest places.
And this YouTube channel is
Similar theme.
huh?
Similar theme. It's like you've recommended YouTube channels in the past that are like
Yeah, I like these sorts of videos.
depicting the world as
Yeah,
authentically as
the real
possible,
world.
which that name
Um,
clearly
yeah.
suggests what
So
it is.
it's
Yeah.
run by a guy who lives in a van and he
Mm.
travels the UK, and he goes to the dodgiest areas and reviews the
Wow.
pubs. So he goes
Ah,
to like places that have honest working class people and then goes to the pubs,
nice.
and
I
then
feel like
has
I
a
got way
drink.
too happy there when you said pubs.
Yeah, oh, pub.
Only the stereotype there of it. Yeah, I need to stop.
um, and yeah, essentially he'll just review them, maybe like chat to people. He's not as extroverted as some other people I might watch. He's pretty like to himself, and he just sort of gives you like what pubs are like in these places, really. And it's quite interesting because what you tend to notice about a lot of working class areas of the UK is pubs are more the hub of the
No.
town.
Oh yeah, yeah. Your
That's
local is everything.
yeah, that's all they sometimes have.
Yeah.
So
I love
yeah,
that too. There's something really romantic about that. That like it's like Moe's and the Simpsons. Like
of
it's
course,
that place where everybody links up. You know from 8 o'clock onwards the same gang is going to be there, and you'll gossip or you'll talk about your day or whatever. There's something very romantic about that
yeah, it's really
I'm
comforting.
envious of. Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm.
And then I guess it sort of does shed a light onto these places that are forgotten about because what you find is the majority of these places have been going downhill ever since Margaret Thatcher because they were just one industry towns. And then as
Wow.
soon as the industry got removed, the towns were dead. There's no jobs, and it's been like that for years.
Yeah, yeah. This is the
Yeah,
late '80s. Sad. Yeah, totally. That's interesting. I'm intrigued that you're saying that the guy is more introverted. I find that kind of interesting, just because you'd expect with a show like that it's like the most extroverted,
of
real like
course.
people's person. It's intriguing to me that it's a guy who isn't much of a people's
Yeah,
person who's trying to do this thing that requires a
he
lot of social interaction. Obviously,
yeah, he looks like
mm.
the average bloke you'd see at the pub, which kind of makes it
Right.
quite real.
That's cool. Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Rather than being like this really big personality, that he's actually somebody who fits into that world quite seamlessly.
yeah, definitely. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's a
cool.
yeah,
Sounds great. Yeah, and easy name to remember. Honest Faces. I like it. a good simple name. Yeah, my first recommendation is Val. Um, as I'm sure you know, we lost a legend, Val Kilmer, recently.
Mhm.
Fantastic actor. He made a documentary before, obviously before he died, that I never got around to. And after seeing that he passed away, I was like, oh, I need to watch a documentary. And it's like almost unfortunate that the documentary kind of benefits from him passing away. It's almost more powerful now that he's dead because the whole
Mhm.
documentary is about his mortality. Um, as I'm sure you know, he had like really bad um, throat cancer. So he stopped acting last 4 or 5 years, I guess, before he died, with the exception of that cameo he made in Top Gun Maverick. Um, but yeah, I mean, you saw in Top Gun Maverick, he was barely able to speak.
Mhm.
Um, so he's kind of covering that in the documentary, him kind of like having to say goodbye to his acting career. It's a super emotional documentary, but really powerful. The fact that it's made by him makes it so much more personal and interesting rather than just like somebody from the outside looking in. It's a documentary about his life made by him. And his son gets involved in it. He shows his career, but he also shows like more personal parts of his life. Like he divorced his wife in the early '90s because his career was getting so big. He was out filming all the time, and he wasn't able to make time for her. And it goes into all those areas. And it's a real beautiful showcase of like just a complex life that like has really beautiful, happy moments, but also some really heartbreaking, sad moments, like anyone's
Mhm.
life. Um, it's wonderful. It just showed what a creative, talented, and like unique soul he was. Um, Captured it beautifully. In a way, I feel guilty watch only getting around to it after he died. Um, but it's almost more powerful watching it now that he's passed away, just seeing how much he lived till the end, even when he was
Mhm.
barely able to speak. You could tell it hurt him to talk at the end. Um, it's sad to see, but he clearly found a unique creative way to still utilize his talents, which was this documentary. I couldn't recommend it enough. It's on Amazon Prime.
Sounds great.
For
You
those,
described that
yeah.
very well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, for those who want to watch it, yeah. Those who are a fan of his work and hadn't seen the documentary, it's an absolute must for sure. Yeah, sweet. Any other recommendation from you?
Yeah, I got another one. And it's not like I'm necessarily putting anyone on some niche thing here. It's
Mm,
just a show that I'd recommend people check out because I'm normally quite dismissive of BBC shows, things like that. Um,
sure.
and yeah, I've watched all 3 seasons of the UK Traitors, if you've heard about that.
Yeah, I'd seen an episode of The Traders because my uncle and cousin were really into it. I watched an
Yeah.
episode of it once, yeah, but it was bang in the middle, so I couldn't really,
Oh, okay. Got
you know
you.
what I mean? Yeah, but I know it's a very, very popular show. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's absolutely fantastic because it's like you get all the dramas that you would with a show like Big Brother or something like that. You've got all these
Mm,
people like in a mansion together. Um, but there's an extra edge to it and it's quite scary and you can tell it's real people. Obviously, BBC have to tick a certain amount of boxes, but it's real
mm,
people and you can tell they're like so high strung because they're just suddenly have been taken away from their normal life to then play this game for weeks.
yeah.
And you can see it like really like knocking people
Messy.
down.
Mm,
And it's such an interesting like psychological show, like observing how people behave when they are traitors or faithful. And
yeah.
then it's also so interesting to see like how sheepish people are, um, and how much people jump on like the bandwagon when push comes to shove. It's actually a very interesting observation of humans.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's cool.
so yeah.
I definitely was intrigued by the concept for sure. It sounds interesting. I mean, the show has blown up. Like the
Oh
UK
yeah.
one is popular. There's an American one hosted by Alan Cumming. That's also been pretty big. And there's one in Australia also. I mean, like
It's
every part
Australia.
of the
There's a New
world.
Zealand one.
New
Yeah.
Zealand, yeah, like every part of the world is doing their own version of one. So yeah, it's certainly been a huge hit. Who's the host of the UK one again? It's the woman with black hair.
Claudia something.
Claudia Winkleman,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, super popular show. The concept is definitely interesting. How you see somebody trying to pretend that they're not a traitor and stuff like that. It's definitely we like seeing people
Mhm.
being put into those vulnerable situations and how they handle it and stuff. I can definitely see how it's been so appealing to people. Speaking of Big Brother, have you seen that Mickey Rourke is on it now?
I did see that. Yeah.
That is so
So
upsetting to me.
strange.
So strange. So upsetting to me because that man got washed up, came back in 2008 in The Wrestler, directed by Aaron Aronofsky. It was so critically acclaimed that he got an Oscar nomination for it, and then got washed up again.
I know. Yeah, madness.
Crazy. It's like he had that big second chance, and the film was a huge success, beautifully made movie, and then he stumbles once more, and now he's on the UK Big Brother. It's so upsetting. Celebrity Big Brother, but yeah, wild. Yeah. Anyway, my final recommendation. You may remember this film was showing when we used to work in a cinema together. I never got around to watch it. I'm not sure if you did either. Drive My Car.
Oh, bro.
You saw it?
I haven't seen it, but I know
No.
I'd love it.
It's fucking
Yeah.
fantastic. I knew I'd like it too. I ended up liking it even more than I thought I would. I mean, it doesn't really need a huge plug for me because I won the Best Foreign Film Oscar in I think 2020, 2023, I think, or
Mm.
22. Whatever year the Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, it was the same year. Um, but yeah, and it deserved a beautiful film. Quick little summary of it. It's based off a short story by Murakami, who's a very popular Asian author. The basic concept is there's this guy who's a theater director, um, and his wife is like a television writer. The wife dies, and shortly before his wife dies, he finds out that his wife's having an affair with an actor on a TV show she's working on, but he like never gains the courage to talk to her about it, and then his wife dies, and he just becomes obsessed with the guy he was having an affair with, and he casts the actor in a play specifically to try and find out more information about him. And where it goes from there, it's so unexpected, but it's also like the way I describe it almost makes it sound like a thriller. It's actually not a thriller. It's more just about like human relationships and dynamics and like people's fear of just like confrontations and everything. It's so beautifully written. It's 3 hours long. Well, it's nearly 3 hours long. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes or something. And I didn't get bored for a second. Like it flew by. Yeah, highly
Like that,
recommend.
man. I need to watch this.
Yeah,
It's my
highly
kind of
recommend.
movie.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, you'd love it. Yeah, it's really well written, character, like dialogue focused, and it just doesn't skip a beat. All the relationships are so like interesting and clear and unique. Like there's no aspect to it that was conventional. It was a very just well done script that like any area where like it could have been boring, it found a way to make it unique. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah, spectacular film. Couldn't recommend enough. Yeah, so good. I don't know why I didn't get to it sooner. It's so great. But yeah, fantastic. Let's move on and wrap things up with the questions then. Right, two questions this week. One kind of our usual thing, really. One is Simpsons related and one isn't. So which one would you like first?
Not Simpsons related. Sorry,
Not Simpsons.
Simpsons related.
Simpsons related first.
Yeah.
Cool. You probably won't have an answer for this. Let's see. Is Harry Legg, a lovely, wonderful comedian friend of mine, asked, which of the cast do you think is the best live action actor? You already know. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
for me. It has to be Hank Azaria. He's done the most outside of voice acting. I would probably say Hank Azaria is a live action actor first, voice actor second.
Hmm.
Whereas the rest of the cast, I would say they're mainly voice actors. So I think just that reason alone, I'd had to say Hank Azaria. He's had the most like big roles outside of The Simpsons. Like he was the boyfriend that Ben Stiller's wife has an affair with in Along Came Polly. He was the waiter or like the butler in The Birdcage, great movie with Robin Williams. He was Phoebe's boyfriend David and Friends for a good couple of episodes. Like he's had a very vast career. He was the villain in Night at the Museum too. Um, he was Gargamel in the Smurfs. Like he's done so much outside the show. Um, just as a creative in general, I think his area is the person who interests me the most. He seems to kind of just do whatever his. Obviously, he does big, well-paying roles in The Simpsons. It's like obviously a guaranteed great paycheck for the rest of his life. But he seems to just do whatever his heart is feeling. Like at the moment, he's doing a Bruce Springsteen cover band, and he's been posting videos of it on his Instagram. And his impression of Bruce Springsteen is pitch perfect because he's a
Mad.
great impressionist. And
Hmm.
if he just puts his mind to, I want to do an impression of this person, he just nails it. And he's now like going on tour, pretending to be Bruce Springsteen. That's just what he wanted to do, I guess. He's obviously a fan of his music, and that's what he's doing.
Nice. I like
And
that.
yeah, I love it. He's also doing that thing I told you about recently on the podcast as well, where he's like working on a Broadway one man show about his life. So he does interesting, cool shit like that, which I really respect. Um, so yeah, just like yeah, as an actor and as a creative in general, Hank Azaria definitely stands out to be the most of the cast. But that being said, I think they're all wonderful and talented in their own ways. Harry Shearer is also brilliant. He was in This Is Spinal Tap. He was one of the band members in that. So like he's definitely had a great career outside of The Simpsons as well. He was on Saturday Night Live for a season. Had some great character sketches on that. So he's also definitely a wonderful live action actor. But it's hard not to say Hank Azaria because he's just done the most
Hmm.
outside of the show, you know. So yeah, my answer is Hank Azaria,
Nice.
simply put. And my buddy Stephen Pinfield, wonderful buddy from Cork City, asked most anticipated movie of 2025.
Hmm. It's hard to say,
Mm.
but I'll let you start if you do have an answer.
Yeah, I have a few. I mean, it feels redundant to say like Fantastic Four, but I am really excited to see what the MCU does with their version of that. I really like the cast. The trailers so far have looked really interesting with the 1960s aesthetic that they're going for. But if I was to really say what movie I'm looking the most forward to, I think I'd have to go for the next Mission Impossible.
That's fair.
Absolutely,
That's
yeah,
fair.
absolutely buzzing for that. Like I'll push back a year because of the actors and writers strikes. I'm just really excited to see what the second part of that's going to be because the last one was just what an incredible cinematic experience. One of those movies that like is a reason for cinema to keep going. Why I hope cinema keeps going is those are films that need to be seen on the big screen.
Hmm.
Like they're good enough you can watch them at home and have a fun time, but they're exceptional experiences in like an IMAX cinema. You know, they're made for the big screen. Like,
I have one.
hmm,
I do think it's already come out,
yeah,
but it's still an anticipated 2025 release, so I'm going to say it anyway. But the
sure.
Bring Them Down,
Bring them down. I haven't heard of
yeah,
it.
it's directed by Christopher Andrews and it has Barry Keoghan in it. Um,
Was that the kind? Is that
Barry
like kind of like
Keoghan
horror?
and Christopher Abbott. Yeah, it's like a thriller type thing.
Yeah, yeah, and
Um,
Colin Meaney's in it as well.
yeah.
That does look great. I don't think it's out yet. It's out soon, definitely, but
Okay. Yeah, I
I don't think
remember
it's out yet.
seeing the trailers for that and I thought that looks fantastic. Like,
It does look
yeah.
good. Love me some Barry Keoghan. I mean, I've said it already on this podcast. He's like my favorite actor of his generation. I think he's amazing. How do you feel about him playing Ringo Starr?
I think it's actually a pretty good casting choice.
I'm totally down. Everyone was being like, "Oh, they just can't. They just casted like all the it guys at the moment." But I see all of them in in those parts, so I don't see the complaint. I see him as Ringo. Ringo's kind of the outcast of the Beatles, and
Looks a bit weird. Yeah.
yeah, Barry Keoghan is like an outcast in every movie he's in, so it makes sense. He makes sense in that part. I see Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney. I think Harris Dickinson already kind of looks like a young John Lennon, and that guy whose name I can't remember is George Harrison. Also, I can see what's his name again. He's in Gladiator. Joseph Quinn.
Mm.
I think it's a great
Yeah,
cast.
and I don't
I
really think they are all the it guys at the moment.
No, I think they're all slightly fringier. I mean, obviously Paul Mescal had Gladiator 2, which was a huge film for him, but prior to that, they're all indie movies. You know, they're all definitely on the up and up. Like
Mm.
Joseph Quinn's going to be the Human Torch. It's like he's sorted. Um, but yeah, I mean, Harry Styles is a great actor. He was phenomenal in The Iron Claw. If you saw that,
Hmm.
um, I'm really excited for all four of them. I think the thing that Sam Mendes is doing, having it be four different movies, very ballsy move. But I'm really intrigued to see how that works. Sam Mendes is one of the best directors working right now as
Hmm.
well. I think so. I'm
Man, it
excited.
is going to absolutely like make a lot of money.
It will. I mean, it's so crazy what they're doing because they're bringing out all four movies at the same time.
Yeah.
It's
But I
going to be
like that.
wild.
Instead of keeping people waiting, they're like, here you go.
I think it's class, yeah,
Yeah.
because they could have milked this and been like, okay, we'll bring out Ringo in 2026, and then 2027 we'll do George Harrison. I think it's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah,
I
just
like
doing
it. And people don't have to
boom.
pick a certain order. They can just, or
Yeah,
just
I think
go
it's
see
really
the one
cool.
who's your favorite.
Say one who's your favorite first, and then if
Yeah.
you like it, they'll go see all four of them. Yeah, it will be interesting to see the separate box offices for all of them. Because
Yeah.
I bet
I think
John
I'm,
Lennon
t-
will be the highest grossing one.
either John Lennon or Paul McCartney.
I would say John just because he has a more tragic background.
True. More interesting life.
Yeah, I would say John,
Yeah.
then Paul, then George Harrison, then Ringo.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I reckon Ringo potentially might beat George Harrison.
Yeah, the only reason why I think I agree with that, even though George has had a bigger solo career, the only reason I think that Ringo could be more successful than George. I bet they'll get Ringo to go promoting it with Barry
True.
Jones. I
Yeah.
bet you that'll happen. It'll be really interesting to see. I feel like it's the right thing to do with one of the
Hmm.
most iconic bands of all time, the most iconic band of the UK. I think it's the right move to do something so different with their biopic because of how iconic they are, rather than just doing a movie. I think it's cool to just do,
Yeah,
boom,
it's a
here's
great idea.
here's
And they're
four
not
separate
being
films.
like, yeah, they're not being money hungry about it, even though they are to an extent. They're actually releasing all four at once. Great move.
Yeah, as
I
I
can't
said,
fault
yeah,
it.
I can't fault it either. I think it's way more interesting, and if it would have made more sense to milk it and have it be every year. But it's cool that it's just going to be all the one
Hmm.
go. I'm excited. I trust Sam Mendes. I think he knows what he's doing, and it is a fucking ambitious project he's getting himself into. But
Oh yeah.
I think it'll work. Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, I guess that's an anticipated film as well. That won't be I don't know next year, maybe the following year. But yeah, I'm excited for it. And yeah, that pretty much wraps it all up, guys. Thank you as always for
Thank you.
watching. We're finally done season 35, and we'll be back very soon with our final kind of like wrap up podcast,
Yeah, that's
wrapping
exciting.
up.
That's
Yeah,
the most anticipated release of 2025.
I think so. Yeah, that's what people have really been clamoring for because
Yeah.
it is long in the making. Yeah, we'll do our usual thing of we'll count down our top three and our bottom three, and like we did last time, I also have a script ready to read with you. I've written another episode, so that'll be fun. I think. I hope. But yeah, thank you as always for listening, and we'll be back
Thank you.
in a few weeks' time. See you soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Good luck.